But I want to tell you, man. I want to tell you. I need to straight up just tell you, Heather. As long as you stay in Chicago, there is a big chance that the only benefit you're going to have is to get a job through a requirement of being in a shelter that's a required shelter, and it's a shelter you're not choosing to go to, right? But here's another thing. That shelter might only be the only way that you can get out of Chicago, right? But here's another thing. You're not putting this together. Let's say somebody donates you money on the little money app, right? And they choose to give you cash. For some reason, you get cash, right? Well, there is a simple ticket that you can get that's going to get you out of Chicago and get you to Fort Wayne, Indiana. There is a way to do that. That's the problem. Here's a problem. You have to think about that, but you don't think about that. And when you don't think about that, nothing happens. But that's good. But what I remember is that Chicago, basically that shelter that's provided to you that has like that kind of form of a shelter, right? That can be stocked up. And that's the only shelter in Chicago that's going to give you a requirement. Do you get what I'm saying? That is the only one that's going to help you out, that's going to take care of your hygiene, okay? And I should not be able to tell you that. You're an adult. You should know that, But you choose not to do that, right? And here's another thing. That's part of being an adult. You do the things you do, right? You don't always get to choose what you want to do, Heather. That's the little spot of it. And you know why you're doing this? For your children, right? So you're doing this for your children. But you didn't want to listen to my video beforehand, right? Okay, so you didn't want to listen to that, right? But let me try and tell you, too. I got to try and make this short and simple to you, okay? I do not know if that Chicago, all I know about that Chicago shelter is that they will get you into better hygiene, a little bit of stability in your mind, and they're most likely only going to do one thing, and that's help you get a job. So you're not going to get what you think. You're not going to get other benefits in there. And there's a chance that that's what Chicago just does. Chicago's modeled after Indianapolis, and Indianapolis and Chicago are modeled that way. So there is a chance that you're banking on that you're going to find something in Chicago, but you really don't have anything in Chicago. So if you're talking to a police officer, talk to them politely and see if they can get you on the right path to getting out of the city. You might be able to get out of the city without having to spend money. There might be a benefit that you can do that to get to Fort Wayne, Indiana, but you are not doing that step. And that's the only step that's the only step that I can guarantee that you'll be on the right path of something, right? But if you choose that you just don't want to do any of this, right? And you're like, I don't want to do this. That's another day wasted, right? That's another day of you not doing anything for your kids, okay? So that's all it is. All it's saying is that you're not doing anything. You need to get organized, right? But if you're going to take this video and you're going to take this video lightly and you're not going to do anything, right? That's on you, right? But like, here's the thing too. Cash App, really? Do you need Cash App right now, Heather? No, you don't need Cash App. And I'll tell you why you don't need Cash App. You don't meet your common functions. You don't meet simple functions that you need to do. Chicago's apartments most likely don't want you because you just don't go and do a tiny little function to make them, they want to give somebody an apartment that's actually trying in Chicago, right? Okay. But this is what I'm trying to say to you. Reality sucks. It does. It sucks. But here's reality. You got to stop recording yourself. That's one thing. And you've got to stop using the Cash App, because every time you use the Cash App, you're taking time out of your day when you could have used that time out of your day to get out of Chicago and then finally go somewhere that's going to give you an apartment. But like, how do you have a good research? You get what I'm saying? How do you have a good research? The only one that I know that's effective that I've told you is Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's the only one. Fort Wayne, Indiana. But like, are you really going to try and bank that you're going to listen to somebody else and they're going to tell you about a cheap state? Because here's the news flash. You could go to that cheap state and maybe they don't have any of those benefits, right? And if you had a caseworker, because that's what you've told everybody, is that you've had a caseworker, right? But if you had a caseworker, and would it worry you that your own caseworker has not been as productive as other caseworkers? Would that even worry you? Right? But get this. This is what I'm trying to say. Stop focusing on that. Stop focusing on the ideas of that. Focus on the idea that unless you get out of Chicago, you're always going to be like this.